Well, Dr. Bharat Pankania is a senior clinical lecturer at the University of Exeter Medical School. Joins us live from City of Bath by Skype. Now, this study by Imperial College London, there's been a lot of focus on this. It hasn't been peer-reviewed, but early findings appear to show no evidence that Omicron is milder compared to other variants, particularly Delta. How important is this question of the severity of the Omicron variant?
It's important. Of course, it's important because we already know the negative news, which is that it is much more infectious. And the second bit is that it bypasses the vaccines that we create, the antibodies that we created with the vaccines we've taken. So I hope and pray the report from Imperial is not as true as I would like it, as we want it. We don't want it to be as true, because if it is, then we have a lot more things to worry about.
How long do you think it'll take before that can be established? Right now, there's quite a bit of ambiguity when we look at how Omicron is playing out in different parts of the world. It's still ambiguous as to whether it could be more severe or whether it is a milder form of the virus.
Yes, indeed. And of course, our data is always muddled up with the findings from South Africa. So how long will it take? Another 2 to 3 weeks is when that lag time between generating cases and hospital admissions will start to appear. And then another couple of weeks more will start to tell us if this is as severe disease causing as the other variants. So unfortunately, we do need that time. And whilst we need that time, we just cannot afford to sit idly and do nothing. That's why countries like, for example, Holland are taking immediate actions to have a shutdown and reduce the number of cases.
Are they taking the right measures, in your opinion? Because obviously there is that lag between when the data comes in, but by the time we get that information, it's too late.
Yes, but the trouble always is that you may sometimes get it wrong. On the other hand, if you get it right, you will save many lives. So in terms of infection control and management, we've always got to go in early, fast and extensive. And if you go in early, fast and extensive, you will at least get ahead of the curve of this rising tide of infections. And every now and then, you will be criticized because you got it wrong.
You mentioned there that the data in perhaps the Western world, in the US and Europe, is getting a bit muddled with the information that we have from South Africa, which suggests that patients infected with Omicron are less likely to end up in hospital. And if they do, they actually recover more quickly from the illness. Now, why could that data be misleading? Why could the Omicron variant have a different effect on populations in Europe or the US?
So South Africa has a predominantly young population, and we do know that the SARS-CoV-2 virus, its seriousness of serious illness is the older you get, the greater the number of pathologies you pick up as you grow older, the more severe disease causing it can be. Therefore, in the United States, United Kingdom and Europe, we have a much more older population. And therefore, we shouldn't just compare the South African experience and assume that it will be the same experience here. Time will tell, and time will soon tell us if it is mild disease causing, as was the case in South Africa, or that, as the Imperial not yet peer-reviewed report seems to suggest, that it may be just as severe disease causing.
The immediate concern now is that the risk of reinfection with the Omicron variant is over 5 times greater than that of Delta. So this is a very efficient mutation that that can really evade immunity quite well.
It is. So those mutations, unfortunately, are in just the right place at the tip of the spike protein. So it changes the shape of the spike protein. And that change in the shape is enabling it to do two things, several other things as well. But the two things is, one, it can infect you a lot easier because it's a better fit to the human ACE receptors. And the other bit is, unfortunately again, is the antibodies that have been made to neutralize the virus find it harder to latch on to those tips which have changed their shape. And therefore, you end up needing more of those antibodies to neutralize, to cancel off this variant.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bharat Pankania, for joining us there from Bath.